Hello everyone, this is Mosh and Bob, and today I wanted to make a little bit of a video kind of focusing around the offense of this game, DNF Duel. Now, a lot of people have been getting blown out. This is a sad fact that you're going to have to go through if you do play this game. Now, do I get blown out a lot? Of course I do. I mean, I got blown out by a hitman not too long ago. I got blown out by a crusader, a lost warrior, what was the guy's name? Grappler, enchantress, swiftmaster, you name it. Not everyone. I've been blown up by everyone except launcher. So launcher kind of sucks. So I wanted to talk about how to deal with offense in a high octane offensive game like this. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because this game somewhat harkens back to a little game that I know very well called Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, that's another game that's been made by Aiding, and honestly, all I can say is I love that game. That game has made me into who I am. So, a lot of that neutral has somewhat been instilled in me, and I have never truly have lost the grasp of Marvel neutral. Now, Marvel neutral is far different from anime games in the fact that usually you have a very fast dash, the ability to try dash, and a whole bunch of other things like one frame grabs. Now, that sounds broken, but don't worry. There's a lot of option selects in that game which allow you to tech grabs pretty easily. Now, in this game, there's a grab animation, and if you are able to hit them within that animation, you get a counter hit. So this game is a little bit different from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, obviously. Now, what is Marvel neutral? Marvel neutral is very fast, very high octane, attacks going off one after another. So how do you keep track of that? Well, the thing is that you don't. You keep track of where your enemy is. You don't necessarily keep track of yourself. You should know how to control yourself well enough to understand what you want to do in a very reactive moment. So Marvel neutral really is focusing about movement and how to get around the ability of your opponent. So in this game, movement is rather stiff, and not a lot of characters can be fast. Now, obviously, I'm going to be showcasing nothing but fast Kunoichi players. Now, I have to say this real quickly, a disclaimer. Every single person here is deity rank, okay? So, while they might be in legend, deity / rank, this is still the highest bracket of players. So, again, these players know what they're doing essentially, and I got there. So, we're dealing with deity / legend rank players. So these are the top of the top players. And I'm doing this as a little bit of DNF Duel neutral and a little bit of Marvel neutral. And in Marvel neutral, the way you moved was your lifeline. Movement was key in Marvel. If your movement was not on point, you would die. Now, I know that sounds very not DNF Duel like. However, we have movement abilities in DNF Duel. Kunoichi has a teleport. Hell, Ghostblade has a teleport. And a lot of other characters can move, like Swiftmaster, if there's an orb or something else on the field that can allow them to move. Now, again, movement is key in Marvel neutral. because if you can't move fast enough to punish your opponent, you were not able to essentially do anything. In this game, it's somewhat similar. However, part of movement in this game isn't to back away. It's mostly to either understanding the gap within the opponent's strings. Let's just call them guard strings, because you're stringing together attacks that are trying to break your guard. And in this game, understanding how to move is pretty hard because you're stiff. And so you have to make very fine decisions in a very minute window, essentially. And this neutral is still evolving. I can't say for certain that we're at the very top of players right now, because again, not a lot of people are playing this at its best right now. We're still figuring out the game. The game only came out a month ago, so we still have quite a ways to go to figure out how fast this game can be. But that being said, this game is already fast. So how, again, do we alleviate all of this offense? Part of it is being offensive ourselves. In Marvel, you had to be offensive. You had to throw out certain fireballs, attacks, whatever you could. You were offensive as much as possible. In this game, it's somewhat the same. You have to be offensive as much as possible, throw out attacks as much as possible, and make sure you're safe as much as possible when you throw out those attacks. But even then, how do I stop my opponent from pressing buttons? Well, the truth is you can't. But what you can do is make them respect the buttons you have. Now, showcasing these Kunoichi players, you'll notice that they do certain things with their lights. They do light, and then they stop, and then they do light again. The truth is the reason why I have to respect that is because that light can easily go into another attack. Now, that attack is going to be bumped up if I get counter hit, which I do quite a bit. And if that happens, I lose a lot of life. So it's best to just respect that string and not go for it, honestly. But every now and then you'll get a cheeky person to just come around and do it and then grab you. You know, it happens. But neutral in this game revolves around abilities. And the better your abilities are at movement, the better you'll find success. Seems like the best ones right now, Swiftmaster has a really good ability, obviously, in being, orb and wind avatar user. But you also have Crusader, who also, he locks you down, right? He stops your movement, right? So it helps in a different way, not just, making him move faster. It makes you slower. So how to make your opponent respect the buttons? Well, you got to understand the opponent you're going up against. This goes back to matchup knowledge. And understanding matchup knowledge is not easy. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of work to get good at a matchup. So this matchup I'm going up against is Kunoichi players. Now, Kunoichi, again, she is a very mix-up heavy character. That means she wants to be as nimble as she can be. But I always seem to catch her, right? And the reason why I always seem to catch her is because I always make her play my game. And what is that game? Well, the game is, do you know what buttons are safe? And do you respect the buttons I throw out? And if you don't, well, I'm going to hurt you. And I'm going to hurt you really bad. So, again, neutral in this game is still being figured out, but the neutral is about who can get the first hit, right? I know that sounds very daunting to new players, but the truth is that to get the first hit, you have to understand the options your opponent can do. So the interesting thing about Ghostblade is that even though he has slow buttons, he has a lot of answers to a lot of scenarios, which allows him to be very, very versatile when it comes to how he approaches a problem. Now, one thing I have to say is that you can't turn your brain off when you play Ghostblade. If you turn your brain off, you're going to run out of mana really quickly, and you also are going to be finding yourself in the corner without any mana, without any way to get out. So if you enjoy this video, hey, leave a comment, leave a like if you want. And if you want, you can subscribe. Okay? No one's gonna force you. But other than that, have yourself a good day. Peace.